بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and welcome to Takaful online course. And we have started in the last sessions talking about the Sharia contract, and we have highlighted the different Sharia contract that could be involved in the structures of Takaful and the business model of Takaful. And we have highlighted a few contracts, and we have started with the first one, which is Wakalah. So let's carry on the discussions of Wakalah, and today we'll continue from the condition of Wakalah. So again, we have highlighted that Wakalah is a kind of delegations to the from the participant to the Takaful operator to carry on the activities of a business affair of the Islamic insurance, which include the protections and investment and saving. So with regard to the conditions, there are some conditions that normally should be observed in order to validate the contract of Wakalah. So the first one is that the agreement or the contract agreement must be concluded based on the mutual consent of the two contracting parties. And here meaning that the elements of consent, the elements of rida, the elements of offer and acceptance, meaning that the contract should be executed in a form of offer and acceptance. And why is that? Simply because the offer and acceptance of the element of rida is one of the is one of the pillars of Wakalah. So it is very important pillars to validate the what's so-called contract agreement, whereby the two contracting party will be mutually agree to conclude the Wakalah, whereby the participant will be regarded in the structures of Wakalah as the principal, and the Takaful operators, the entity, the legal entity, would be regarded as what? As the Wakil, and offer an acceptance on the engagement. And this one normally would be reflected in the various contract agreements and application forms and policy, signing the policy, and so on and so forth. As you know, the Takaful operator, when they start to onboard one participants to the pool, so there are some procedures to do that: application form, filling up all the forms, agree on the contributions, and go to the policy, and so on and so forth. So that kind of engagement and signing off represent from Sharia standpoint as an acceptance to determine conditions that govern the what's so-called relationship between the contributors and the participants, and from the other hand, or from the other side, the Takaful operator, which include Wakalah as well. So this is the first point, or the first conditions: mutual agreement between the two parties in the Wakalah contract. The point number two, the contracting party must fulfill the requirements of the legal capacity or the competency requirements of the Wakalah. This is again one of the conditions in the contract, and normally the persons in the Wakalah or the persons in the joining the participant will be somehow competent enough, reaching the age of puberty, age of competency. And in case the policyholder is below the age of competency, normally it will be under his guardians, his what's so-called wali, his parents, his family member, that basically will take care of the other legal aspect in order to validate the legal engagements between the participant and the Takaful operator. And this is why sometimes we will see in the online transactions one requirement saying that you are above 18, then you click, and this is again what so-called requirements display and acknowledged by the person who is navigating in the internet on some platform of e-commerce platform, to make sure that the person have the competency requirements that eligible him or enable him to pursue some legal engagements with other party, such as, for example, sales, lease, and so on and so forth. So that's the requirements of the capacity. The other condition is that the subject matter must be known to both parties. And here the subject matter basically is the underlying engagements of the business of Takaful, whereby in one hand there is a contributions from the what's so called participant, or on the other hand there is what's so called a sum cover, or there is a kind of service to be provided by the Takaful operator. It could be in a form of saving, it could be in a form of an investment, it could be in a form of protection. So that's the underlying, and normally all the information are disclosed. Contributions is disclosed, the Wakalah fee, which is the commitment of the participant, is disclosed, the term and conditions is disclosed, the policy is disclosed. Actually, the entire certificate and the policy with the legal documentation related are disclosed to the customers or to the participant, and based on that he will give the sign off. So in other words, the Takaful operators and the participant both understand, know what's the subject matter of this Wakalah. What is the subject matter of this Wakalah, which is normally a contributions of specific amount from the participant, and on the other side providing a policy from the Takaful operators that could be in a form of saving, investments, or protections that normally disclosed and agreed upon by the two contracting parties. Now, the other requirements in Wakalah is that the dispositions must be permissible, and therefore it is not allowed to appoint an agent to perform non-permissible actions, meaning that the delegation that we are talking about should be permissible by Sharia in order to validate the Sharia contract of Wakalah. And as a result of that, as we mentioned, something which is not permissible to act, so it's not allowed to appoint the agents to perform that kind of exercise or that task and functions. And here basically the point relevant here is that Takaful operators cannot underwrite Sharia non-compliance risk or something which is not permissible. And this is based on the mandate of the Wakalah, number one. This is based on the delegations of Wakalah doesn't allow the agents to act on something which is not permissible. So this is why there are some kind of prohibitions, elements that basically the Takaful operator should avoid and has to decline this kind of underwriting, because it is not within the scope of the permissibility that the agents is allowed to undertake by the virtue of the Wakalah, number one, and the virtue, but it's fall under the non-permissible actions that basically the Wakil cannot perform on behalf of the participant. The other point that we'd like to highlight is that the subject matter accommodate the representations such as sales, lease, and so on and so forth, which means that in some cases, I think we have highlighted this point, is that sometimes the delegation doesn't accommodate representations, so it will be dropped from the scope of the Wakalah, and as a result of that, the Wakil will just act according to whatever actions that accommodate the representations. Like, for example, sell, you sell on his behalf, lease, you lease on his behalf. Now, when it comes to the Takaful operators, basically the Wakil or the Takaful operator will be acting within the mandate of the business model of Takaful, which is not only designed by the participant, but it is designed by the industry, designed by the what's so called central bank, designed by the different stakeholders and players in the market, including the Sharia boards and other basically experts in the industry that at the end of the day form and design the entire holistic framework and business model of Takaful. So that's where the the Takaful operators will be acting, will be performing, will be acting and representing the what's so called the participants in carrying out this kind of wakala on behalf of the what's so called participant. Of course, in this exercise, there are possibility that it will be sale transactions, lease transactions, sub-wakala transactions, and so on and so forth. That activity which is within the mandate, within the scope of the Takaful operators by the virtue of the law, regulations, standards, and business practice, which normally the Takaful operators will perform and the participant agree and on that kind of business model. So this is in overall, briefly, the overall conditions of wakala, and we have seen it how it is applied somehow directly or indirectly in the Takaful business model. With that, thank you very much, and we shall carry on the remaining discussions of wakala in the coming session. With that, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.